Hello, my name is Auset Rose, and I support women in connecting back to their intuition, self-trust, and a regulated nervous system. I do this through energy work and narrative-based healing techniques that support women in reclaiming their power, as well as their ability to rebirth into the beautiful, open-hearted, and heart-centered women that they're designed to be. So like, share, and subscribe. And if you enjoy this video, please share it with someone that you feel would benefit. So today, I'm gonna talk to you about negative self-talk, okay? Negative self-talk. Why it happens, right? And to also dispel any feeling of guilt or feeling of brokenness for having negative self-talk, okay? So before we, talk about how are we going to heal it, how do we get through it, we have to understand, why is it there? Like, why does it happen, right? I talk a lot about on my channel. I'm going to talk a lot, moving forward about the divine blueprint, right? Each of us was given a divine blueprint, okay? Just as in the universe, there's the concept that a table had a divine blueprint, a chair had a divine blueprint, that everything in this world has a divine blueprint. Your soul is encoded with a divine blueprint. And that hosts your talents, your interests, your visions, your desires, your base frequency, which is, rooted in emotions and perceptions and beliefs, right? And we all come here with it pretty much being, for the most part, intact, right? We might not necessarily remember it, but when we're children, and especially if, of course, if we're nurtured and we're loved, it's easy for us to have access to that feeling and that sensation of aliveness and presence and connected to the energy of gratitude and appreciation. And at some point in our lives, for some of us, it was very early, right? For some of us, it was later on in life. Something may have happened, right, because of an interaction with other people who forgot their divine blueprint and or who were disconnected from their divine blueprint, or perhaps there might have been a misinterpretation sometimes of what and why and how people say what they say to us, right? That we start to potentially move away from our divine blueprint. We might walk and step physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually away from what makes us unique, what makes us integral within the fabric and the weaving of life, right? And the reason why I really am focusing on the divine blueprint is because there are many forces that operate externally, but then when they are absorbed, they operate internally, that kind of can take away, I'm just not saying this is for everybody, but it can take away what magic, what whimsical, what whimsy, what extraordinary elements are actually in life. And so then we start to cycle in a fractal of our lives not working, of struggling to be self-sufficient, constantly fearing and worrying that the next shoe is gonna drop, some chaos and some distance in relationships, feelings of isolation, that and the third, okay? So the thing is that it is absolutely possible for us to clean ourselves and to move through and out of being in a pattern of having negative self-talk, right? And there's multiple factors, right, that can alleviate, as well as, create a pattern of negative self-talk, right? So when we think of it, we have to, as I was saying before, we have to think about, where did it come from? Like, where does that negative self-talk come from? Because usually as children, we are very much like in, you know, our imaginations, you know, when we're in healthy environments, especially, not to say we don't experience this if we're not, but we have imagination. We're dreaming about and playing and experimenting with what gives us joy, right? So when we come into contact, or we have an experience where the exact opposite is experienced, it actually has a shock to our nervous system, depending on how we can, you know, how we absorb it. Some people, no matter what their age is, they tend to have a larger tolerance, right? Or a more just natural resilience, right? We're all actually naturally resilient. How we deal with things may shift, but we're all naturally resilient. But they will not necessarily have it stick to them, right? There's a beautiful, was it Sandra Templeton? I think it's Sandra Templeton, who is an autistic, brilliant woman who works in animal husbandry. And she was talking about how for some kids and some adults, they are dandelions, and for others, they're orchids, right? For me, I'm a rose, okay? I'm of the rose. I am a rose woman. But just to say that, you know, for example, a dandelion, when we look at a dandelion in nature, it doesn't matter where it is, it can grow through concrete, no problem. It doesn't have to be in this nice, you know, luscious field. It can just be in the gritty, dirty of the city, and it will still grow no matter what. In fact, it's resiliently growing. You whack them, you try to use pesticides, everything, it is still coming back, right? And then there's also the orchids, right? The orchid needs particular attention. It needs like, you can't just douse water on an orchid. You need to put in a little ice cube in it and let it slowly melt to give it the drink that it needs. It needs the perfect amount of sun. It needs so much that a dandelion is like, I don't need all that. I'm gonna be all right, right? I don't need nobody, right? Yet the orchid is delicate, and there's nothing wrong with being delicate. And, you know, I do tend to also work with people who are neurodivergent, and that could mean whether that's a developmental experience, or if it's more on the stream of like mental expressions, which my Reiki teacher, Sheena A1, talks a lot about mental expressions as opposed to talking about mental health and mental illness. And I think it's a really great way of saying it. So going back, right, to the fact that we might have different ways of responding to external stimuli, right, that may impact us. Also, please, I hope you have yourself a nice beverage as we are talking, because I like to sip my morning coffee, and I just wanted to, it's like we're in this conversation together. So coming out of, you know, this concept of the orchid or the dandelion, right? When we're coming into external interaction, another one of my videos, I talk about the electromagnetic field and how, you know, what's going on in one person's personal weather system, and it interacting with yours, there's a transfer of data. There's this thing called transference, right? So when we're not aware or have a particular level of presence, what can happen is we begin to absorb what it is that the other person may be saying about us, or maybe their feelings, even if they're not trying to project it onto us. You might be like, oh God, I'm feeling really like heavy right now, because that other person was feeling heavy. And the lack of boundaries, right? The lack of mental, emotional, and I would say also psychic boundaries creates almost like this open sieve for things to blend and come through. And then what it can do is it can start to interact with our chakra system. For those of you who, you know, really want to get into the nitty-gritty of it, but it can start to impact our chakra system. So I work with the chakra system to support in building up that boundaries, right? Building up the ability to create better patterns, better ways of being able to interact when we are coming up against maybe energy that might throw us off balance, right? So, and we can also learn how to do that for us, right? Sometimes it's helpful to go to a healer, because the healer can help us to feel different subtleties that we might have trouble accessing on our own, or if we feel like there's like just some buildup of and we're feeling stagnant and we can't move that energy alone, then we go to a healer and we ask them to support us in being able to, you know, just support the system in being able to do what it naturally is designed to do, which it is naturally designed to heal itself, right? But we have to have, you know, the good conditions and the good support for us to be able to do that, right? So there's this, right? There's that. When we are experiencing negative self-talk, we might not even know that we are having negative self-talk, right? Many people talk about how, you know, we as human beings, we may think 72,000 to like 80,000 thoughts every single day. Every single day we could be thinking those thoughts. Now, it might not be 72,000 significant and different thoughts, even though if we think about it, there are a lot of processes that our mind is constantly doing. But it can also be the same thoughts being repeated over and over again, right? So if, for example, you are thinking about your partner, or the partner that you left, or the relationship that you left, and you're feeling guilty about it, you're feeling it's your fault that the relationship ended, or you're replaying what you would have done different, and instead of it being something that is like, oh, okay, like, I'll take that and do different next time, it's more berating yourself and telling yourself that you're not good enough, that you don't deserve happiness, that you don't deserve love, that you don't. All of that is literally casting a curse on your experience. It's casting a curse on your body. It's casting a curse on your future experiences, your present experience, and it's solidifying and calcifying this idea that you won't find love, that you're not deserving of love. And then that guilt starts to build up, and then you start to feel guilty in other parts of your life that had nothing to do with that relationship, because in your body, in your system, in your energetic field, you're operating on the frequency of guilt, right? So it's like you cannot be feeling guilt and feeling I guess self-forgiveness at the same time. But self-forgiveness is actually the antidote to guilt. So, and that's kind of like, we can sometimes, when we have, when you're paying attention to the thoughts, right? And, you know, one of the ways that we pay attention to our thoughts is being able to slow things down. All right? Like, slow things down. And for some of us, it's meditation. That's how we slow things down. And I really do believe in meditation. But it can sometimes be hard to do, because you're like, oh my God, my thoughts are terrible. And I feel terrible because the voice inside of my head is speaking to me like they're beep, 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 beep. Okay? Like, you're just like, this, you know, and it's not to make light of your experience, but it literally, you will start to see and start to hear what is the tape that is rolling through your mind, right? And you start to realize that, oh shit, like that is not a nice voice inside of your head, right? That is not nice. And so people, you know, we can tend to avoid those thoughts because they hurt too much. But the thing is, even if we avoid them, if we, instead of sit in meditation and journal, or just, you know, decide that we're going to spend some time alone. Maybe, you know, some people, they rely on going out, they rely on being with people all the time because that way they don't have to pay attention to what they're feeling. But the thing is, you're still feeling it. You're still feeling separate from yourself. You're still feeling separate from your intuition. You're finding that the decisions that you're making, the perceptions that you're making, maybe the ways that you're interacting with people or people are interacting with you are just the same pattern over and over again. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, what's going on? Right? And what I definitely encourage is that the only way that we can actually get through and get to the other side of our pain is to literally move through it. And moving through it sometimes looks like sitting inside your home, inside your room, right? And yes, you can still have nice music, you can do that, whatever, right? My nice calming music, or, you know, and literally just hear what is happening inside of you, feel what is happening inside of you, identify, observe what is happening inside of you. And I promise you, okay, I promise you, it is a natural process in being able to move through negative self-talk. It is a natural process. I'm not gonna let you know or tell you that it's gonna be great, it's gonna go easy, it's gonna be, it's just like, you know, it's a small little thing. No, it hurts. It's scary. You will cry. You will go through all different sorts of emotions, right? It will happen, right? And sometimes that is why it is really helpful for us to lean into other forms of support, whether that be a licensed therapist, such as like a counselor, or a psychologist, right? Or if it's going to a Pilates class, or, you know, whatever. You know, I support my clients, again, as I said, through energy work, such as Reiki, do Akashic readings to also support and get the energy alignment right for you, as well as, like, you know, being able to try on and embody and release what stories are held in our bodies in a way that is rooted in play, right? That's how I support my clients. But, you know, if that you know, rolls with you, be like, yeah, girl, I'll work with you. And if it doesn't, that's cool. Find the thing that works for you to be able to support you through this, literally, just going through this valley in the nighttime. Okay? And that really helps, right? It really helps. I know when I was going through my experience, yes, I was giving a lot of techniques that I was using for myself to help me, and it helped a lot. But when I also got additional support, it actually expedited the process. Because the thing is, as human beings, we're also mirror neurons. When we are interacting in particular things that have caused us pain was mirrored. So when we work with other people, it helps us to mirror with another vibration, so that a healthier, more positive transference can actually come to our energetic system, right? I hope that this is making sense. I don't have, I usually put honey in my coffee. And this time I just put some cinnamon. And it's nice. It's really nice. So, if we are understanding that negative self-talk is actually not necessarily, and this is another point too, is that it's not necessarily to blame us, or nor is it to blame anybody else, okay? It's a phenomena that can happen. So if it's a phenomena that can happen, right, sometimes we might be the cause of someone in their negative self-talk because we were not nice, or we weren't, or they interpreted something that we didn't even mean in the way that they interpreted because of some previous experience with somebody else that treated them poorly, right? There's all these nuances. At the end of the day, it becomes our responsibility to figure out how do we fortify our mind and how do we fortify our emotions and ensure that we're also speaking to us and to ourselves in the right way. And it is my belief that the process of going through negative self-talk, getting sometimes disconnected to our divine blueprint, is the divine blueprint is the answer. Tuning into the frequency of the divine blueprint supports us in being able to come back into the thoughts, the perceptions, the feelings, the baseline frequencies that we were always meant to be. That is actually what brings us to the other side. It is the vibration of love. It might sound wooey or like fairy dust or whatever, but like whatever, I'm a fairy. Like it literally feels the vibration of love brings us back. And even if the people around us don't see it or feel it or sense it right away, the fact is it's for you, right? Because who is beside you every single day at every single moment of the day? Nobody else but you, honey. Nobody else but you. So you deserve to feel good in your body. You deserve to feel good in your mind. You deserve to be. You deserve to feel good in your soul. Okay, so the way that I talk. So I also work with young women, with girls and young women, right? And like from like 13 to like 18, 24. And I tell them this, right? Because I work with them on affirmations and getting accustomed and being able to see how how speaking to themselves changes and shifts things, right? And I talk about affirmations. They're like literally a shower for your mind. Okay? Every single day we have to brush our teeth, morning and evening, and for some of us we brush our teeth in the middle of the day. Every one of us has to shower. I shower every day, right? Everyone, we need to clean ourselves up. We need to clean our dishes. We need to clean our house, our room, and when we don't, it gets all muck up, right? It's all muck up. And then when it's all muck up, we feel disgusting. We feel we feel lethargic. We just you know. But once we clean it, and if we are up on our maintenance and we're not waiting for things to pile up, right? We have more room, we have more energy, we have more vitality, we have more space. So affirmations is literally just positive self-talk. It's literally just positive self-talk. That's all it is. And changing the voice inside of us to speak and think and feel and believe in a way that is more useful to us. And if we have been away from our divine blueprint for a little while, for a long time, it might feel a little longer to get there. It might feel like we don't even believe what we're saying. It might feel like you're lying to yourself. But let me tell you something else. The true lying to yourself is all the negativity, negative bullshit talking that you're doing to yourself. That's the lie. That's the lie. And the thing is, this world needs more of us, even more of us, to speak lovingly to ourselves, to be compassionate to ourselves, to believe inner capacity to make good decisions, inner capacity to do well, all of that. It is on us. The world wants us to do that. God, the divine, wants us to do that. That is one of the best ways that we can be healthy. That is one of the best ways that we can invoke change in the world. And it's no small thing. It is no small thing. It's very important. It is very important. Because the way that we talk to ourselves and the way that we then also see our external reality and what is possible, when we are able to clear up all the energetic, mental, emotional muck, and then vibrate at a different frequency, and then connect with other people who are also vibrating on that frequency, and then let me tell you. So believe that you can change, believe that you can transform. That is key. Believe you can change and believe you can transform. Even if you're feeling you're in the darkest valley, in the shadow of death, okay? Yes, I brought that in. Right? Your divine blueprint is source, is the universe, is God, goddess, whatever term you want to use. That is pulling you up from the foggy illusion and the lies. It's so beautiful. It's so juicy. It's so juicy when you start to feel your energetic system, your nervous system, be in a state of relaxation, of neutrality. Okay, when you feel like, yeah, sometimes you'll hear me. I will eventually do light language with y'all. But neutrality, right? It feels so good when you feel like you are literally like you are just swimming down a beautiful, peaceful, calm lake, river. And that's another thing, is that our mind is very much, I'm going really in, oh gosh, our mind is really like the ocean. It's like the ocean. It is deep waters. I think that's all I'm going to say on that. But thinking about, this idea of swimming in this peaceful lake, right? That's what it feels like after you have been in the deep depths of the ocean and you feel like the waves are tumbling you back and forth and oh my gosh and you're just like tumbling and being like, am I gonna make it? Yes, you're gonna make it. Yes, you're gonna make it. I promise you that you're gonna make it. But you have to hang in there. You have to hang in there. Have to hang in there and trust that at some point there is something that is going to support you. To trust that actually there's already something supporting you, right? So the same way that in addition, that also means that we have to pay attention to what are we absorbing, what are we exposing ourselves to, right? When we're thinking about the third eye, for example, like that is the area, as well, connected to our ears, what we hear, what we see, of course what we touch too. They're the senses can sometimes rewire and rewrite our experiences. So if we are inputting negativity, negative shows, negative music, and then we start to also use our power, our vocal power, in the direction of those things, it does have an impact. It can have an impact, right? It can skew how we are operating in the world and how our EMF is working, right? It can skew our mental thought process. It can, and I keep, it's so interesting. I keep going to my mind, but there's some, specifically TCM, that will talk about the mind being more in the spleen area. That the spleen is actually controls more of the mind, and its processes, because it cleanses out and redistributes information and our external experiences. But I could go on and on and on and talk about this, but I just wanted to share a little bit about, negative self-talk, and encourage folks who might be in that part of their journey, of their healing journey, to say that you can do this, you got this, you can get to the other side. If you hold on and you start to find different tools to support you, to get you out of that phase, you can do this. You can do this. You can definitely do this. If you're interested, I am presently taking on clients on a one-on-one basis. So the ways that you can work with me, I practice Reiki as well as other energetic healing techniques that support that support your system in being able to attune and vibrate to vibration that is more supportive and conducive to your divine blueprint. I do Akashic Records readings. I also support clients in a story-based technique that I call story as medicine. And I absolutely love working with clients in that way, because it is a full psychosomatic experience. Okay, we use every part of our body. We don't just talk about what we're thinking. We don't just sit in one place. We are moving, okay? And it is beautiful to witness my clients in that way. If you feel like you want to connect with me and you're interested in possibly working with me, check the links down below, and I'm looking forward to meeting with you. Otherwise, I'll see you at the next video. Mwah.